Yeah,
I figured it out.
figure what out.
Everything.
I'm really happy for you, man. That's great.
Look, I'll never forgive myself for what I did to you, but I'm making it right.
Trevor, it's too late. They're coming. It was stupid of me to think that this could end any other way.
This will all make sense shortly. I don't have much time. I just wanted to say that I've had a lot of opportunities in my life. I've managed to bungle each and every one of them. I'm not going to let you lose the only one you'll get. You've been a true friend.
Wait, what did you do?
What I should have done a long time ago. Take responsibility for my own mistakes.
No, it wasn't your mistake. It was mine.
Promise me you'll live your life to the fullest. Say that every moment, Simon, is made easier.
Hey, panelists, welcome back to the show. I'm Mark.
And I'm Steve.
And this episode of the podcast, we are pretty much completing our coverage of Wonder Man. TV podcast industries have actually completed theirs. I think they just released it recently. You guys are probably going to get this like a couple of days later after we got this, after we recorded tonight. But we're doing episodes 7 and 8, and this is going to be a spoiler full podcast. So obviously there has been more than enough time for you guys to watch. But if you haven't, please stop the podcast now. Go watch the episodes. Come back to us if you don't want to be spoiled. And then, listen to our discussion. And we're going to have fun with this one, too, because oddly enough, Steve, these episodes go by so quick. You could literally watch and binge watch the whole series in one day if need be.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's quick. I mean, this is a fast series. I'm sure a lot of people probably did that when it initially dropped, since Disney, dropped the whole thing in one fell swoop. So, and these two in particular, I watched them a couple weeks ago. We took a little bit of a break, listeners, because life happens to all of us, and we took a little bit of a break between finishing episode 6 and coming back so I watched 7 and 8 like a couple of weeks ago, and then I rewatched them again today to make my notes. But I've been thinking about them for the last 2 weeks or so, however long it's been. And one of the things that occurred to me today before I started my rewatch was it was going to be hard. I thought it was going to be hard to podcast, and it still may be depending on how the conversation goes. On 7 without referencing 8, because there's so much that happens in 7 that pays off in 8. And there's so many things. So, but as I was watching 7 again, I was like, okay, there's enough stuff to talk about just 7 and keep it kind of contained to 7. And then, of course, at the end of 7, it rolls right when you roll right into 8 pretty much the next morning, when those episodes go. So watching them back to back was really cool. And there's a lot of episodes like that. Especially, I love, and I'll say this in both when we talk about both the episodes, but I love that this is is this the first time we've had the flashbacks be kind of tied together? Like episode 7's flashback, they're going to the movie, and then episode 8's flashback, they're coming out of the movie and they're going to get burgers. So I thought, I think that's the first time we've had that happen. Did you just flip me off? Was that?
I scratched my nose.
I'm kidding.
He thinks I'm flipping him off. I scratched my nose, and it wasn't the middle finger. Everybody, trust me.
Anyway,
I can't see that, but it's okay.
So I can see going back and rewatching. But the other thing that occurred to me that I've been thinking about over the last couple of weeks, gelling on these episodes, is I really, really hope that even if we don't get a second season, and I listened to TV podcast histories, and they kind of explained Werewolf by Night was actually, let me see if I get this right. Werewolf by Night was actually a Marvel
Spotlight.
And
this is this.
No. They're two different ones. One is Searchlight and one is Spotlight. Okay. And according to them, I think this is Spotlight. And they explained that the Searchlight is the one-off. The Spotlight was meant to be a contained, like Moon Knight was a Spotlight.
Okay.
Series, because it was meant to be contained. You don't have to watch anything else in the Marvel universe to understand everything that's going on in this show. And that's pretty much true, because they give you enough backstory with Trevor that you don't really need to have watched Iron Man, and they don't really talk a lot about what happened in Doctor Strange or Shang-Chi. So you really wouldn't have to have seen those movies to
Yeah.
still enjoy this series. And so it's not necessarily that it won't get a second season, but it's just the fact that you don't necessarily have to watch anything else. But having said that, I really, really hope we get these characters again, because these are
Same here.
fun
Yeah.
characters, you know, and particularly Ben Kingsley, because now we've had him over 3 different properties, you know, Iron Man, Shang-Chi, and now Wonder Man. And so you would think that's a character that they can bring to any property, and hopefully Wonder Man becomes that kind of a character as well. I hope. We'll see.
Same thing with Moon Knight itself too, as well. If you think about it, you said Searchlight was for pretty much with Werewolf by Night, and,
right, and it was honestly, a one-off. Yeah,
and if you all recall when you watched that, it had the old ABC special edition rotoscoping of the special word special program or whatever. That is why it was meant literally for the Halloween spirit for its time. Yeah, and I think it's really, really cool that they do that. And then the spotlights are basically characters within the Marvel Cinematic Universe that they could utilize and just spotlight on Disney Plus.
Yeah,
and then
I think
eventually just bring them into the Marvel Cinematic Universe in movies if they have to.
I think the only issue, the difference between Moon Knight and Wonder Man in this particular case is I don't think Wonder Man you would not need a lot of backstory explanation to, if Wonder Man just showed up in like Doomsday or Secret Wars, if he just showed up there, you wouldn't need a lot of background to understand what was going on with him. You can see his powers. If Trevor is there, you get that. Whereas with Moon Knight, I think there would be a lot they'd have to fill in for that character, especially if they did more than just him in costume. Like
for
if
the
they
fact
tried
that he
to
has
do
multiple personalities
right,
at that point.
Right. And what we from the comic books, now we didn't see this. No, we did see this in the TV show. He not only does he have multiple personalities in his civilian life, but he has multiple personalities in his superhero life. You know, so it would take a little bit of, they would have to, give some explanation of him, unless they just brought in one of his superpowered, identities. I don't know. I think Moon Knight would be a tougher bring in though than Wonder Man. I think Wonder Man would be an easier to bring in. Yeah, easier fill without the backstory. So, all right. Having said that, we need to get to these episodes. So, season 1, episode 7, Kathy Friedman, and the synopsis, as we've been having all along, the synopsis are very short and sweet. The New York Times finds us fascinating. I like it. And then episode 8 is entitled Yucca Valley, and don't let your babies grow up to be cowboys, which doesn't really tell you anything about the episode, but is kind of a fun tagline. So
it's a great tagline, but it's also a song that Simon actually does sing to somebody at the end.
Yeah, he pretends because the guy says he recognizes him in 8, and he goes, "Oh, you might have seen me do karaoke
Thursday nights."
He does a very bad rendition of "Mamas Don't Let Your Babies Grow Up to Be Cowboys." The Waylon Jennings, Waylon Jennings, I think, song. So, and I think Garth did a remake of it, and there's been several people who've done remakes of it, but
with that, we could go into like our favorite moments and highlights. Obviously, we probably go in continuity at certain points, but what I really did like in this particular episode is the flashback with Simon and his dad, which is like a great callback to why he wanted to be Wonder Man. Now, mind you, his father has passed away, but we saw him do what Kevin Smith had told me and a whole bunch of other podcasters as we listen to him. Like, his father would take him out of school and he goes, "Oh, you got a cold. Yeah, you're sick." And then he literally takes him to the movies to go see Wonder Man. And
that was fun.
That was their thing together, to go to the movies. And because he knew he was uncomfortable with going to school. And
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's a little bit of it. There's a little bit of it looks like it sounds like there might have been a little bit of bullying that had gone on. Maybe something of his powers had come out.
Probably.
Without without really people understanding that's what had happened. Who
Mhm.
knows? But that's
Meaning
what it
that,
sounds like.
and it always sounded to me like if his powers did come out around that time, didn't know how to control them, he felt he was getting bullied about it or something like that. He might be a mutant, and they
It
might
could be,
make
yeah,
him Wonder Man as a mutant, which is fine to me. I don't mind them changing what the
yeah.
situation is about Wonder Man and how he got his powers.
Yeah, and I think this is one of the things that I can bring up here, or we can wait till 8. But I'm not. We've been talking about this, I think, through the whole series, that we're kind of surprised we didn't get kind of an origin story
No,
of
we
his
didn't.
powers, at least how he got his powers or how his powers developed. We didn't really get that. We get a little fill in of backstory, and I'm okay with that actually. Now
Same here.
the way the season ended, I'm okay with not knowing where his powers came from. So
Yeah, and Yahya Abdul Mateen II actually is perfect for the character, in my opinion. A lot of like comic readers are so used to that white guy with the straight cut, and it was an actor built and jacked, and playing that with the glasses on and the weird costume, like we did get in the original first episode, the premiere episode of the film. And the costume is always bright, but it's very much comic book accurate, which I do enjoy. But we do get a reveal of the costume at a certain point within this episode and the eighth one. And
yeah.
and it looks really, really good to me. I really did enjoy that, and he does portray it. I just love the fact that they could still change race, and it's perfect. And I think he's perfect for the character too. The way he presents it, and you just like love his presence and how he portrays the character.
Absolutely.
It's a sympathetic character that we got to grow and love this character as a person, as Simon, not as Wonder Man. And through that, we get to see a kind of redemption arc with Trevor, if you think about it.
Absolutely. Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and I just love their friendship, their appeal, and this is what drives these two episodes, everybody. That's what I really want to endorse on this one. That's what I liked about it. It shows that Simon had nobody else. He was always mocked by his brother, put down upon. His mother was always trying to support him. Very much like the I think the last two episodes we talked about it, where he goes, "Oh, you basically paid a gift for your mom for her birthday with her own money."
With her own money. Yeah,
It's so sad, but the thing is that his brother's saying that, but the thing is that now he's getting better about himself and doing this work and becoming an actor, and you could see him, he's struggling along with this, especially within this episode when we get the actual what's her name,
Kathy Freeman. I love it.
Kathy Freeman.
Let me before you go there, because I think it's lovely. It's great what you're about to go to, because it segues right into my second favorite part of this, was before they meet Kathy. When we see him, when he gets his ride on the golf cart, he gets his craft services, kind of people running and getting him things. And, oh, what kind of bacon do you want? Oh, you want both kinds of bacon? Okay, I'll bring you both kinds of bacon. And then he's acting exactly like the diva actor that he didn't necessarily want to be, by
Correct.
when the guy brings in the bacon, he's just like, oh yeah, no, I don't want it at all now. And so Trevor's like, well, I guess you get to eat the bacon, and you can see Trevor again. We see, like you talk about this friendship, we also see this mentoring of Trevor, where he's trying to show Simon, and I think we see this in the next episode. Simon learns how to treat people, how to act towards people, and we'll get to that when we talk about Chuck Eastman in the next episode. But so I love what you're about to go into with Kathy, because it's like so my point of this, and I'll let you go into Kathy, is the contrast of how he was in the first episode, where everybody was kind of disregarding him, day players don't get golf carts, and then now he's the main star, so he gets a golf cart, he gets craft services, he's got a makeup person, he's got a costume person, he's got all these people that are pandering to him, and he's kind of loving it at first, but then
he kind of changes his tune. Yeah,
right.
And I like how Trevor actually, like you said, mentoring him when they're in front of Kathy Friedman at that point and during the interview. And you could see he was a little upset with Trevor, plus all the stuff about apparently Joseph Gordon-Levitt. Apparently something was brought up by her. And he was like, and it's like, oh, he was canceled by her or something. And
it's great because it's when Simon is talking about before they even meet her, he's like explaining, and I've got the quote down when we get to quotes, where he talks a little bit about it. He says, she's the most respected entertainment writer out there. And then then Trevor says something, oh, well, that's good for us. But then he says, she's a character assassin. And then he talks about what she did to Joseph Gordon-Levitt, saying that he was, that he did something with pigeons, and they never did figure out what he did with pigeons. And then he's like, well, then then she says this about Glenn Howerton, and which I had to look that up. I had to remember Glenn Howerton is the guy he's from AP Bio. He's in It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. He's a great actor and comedian. But he's hilarious, but he's also meant to be a very charming kind of guy. And she writes about him like he's, not eating and not being a very, affable person kind of thing. So I thought that was really cool. Then again, before Trevor gets there, Simon is trying to not act like the diva, to where the one guy, when he's like, oh, do you want me to have somebody go get you a smoothie? And he's like, oh, no, I get my own snacks. And the guy's like, oh yeah, sorry. You can tell that she knows exactly what's going on. She can see through all of this. So it's interesting they don't tell us what she writes about in the article about them, but it would be interesting to have heard that. But yeah, I love the whole part. And then when they get to the interview in the restaurant.
Yeah. But there's also, before that, they talk about the makeup artist and her birthday. And he goes, oh, yeah. And then Trevor's like, oh, you should get her the chocolates at Beverly Hills. Yeah. And he goes, there's $650 worth. He goes, they're like, yeah, let's do it.
Yeah. And Simon's like, should we really? Is she worth that? And Trevor's like, yes, she's worth it. And he's trying to get, again, it's just this idea of Trevor kind of mentoring him and kind of teaching him, this is how you need to treat people. And like you can see when he's talking to the one girl about her Jeep, her Wrangler, that he doesn't understand what she says. Oh, I had to put 35s on it instead of 33s. And he's like, those are the tires. So yeah, you can see that he's very awkward around people. You see how he grows from then until when we get to the next episode.
And then you got his fear too about Kathy, actually investigating and talking to people in his life, like his ex-girlfriend, and she had already interviewed her, and he got reassured to some degree that she was okay with that and nice to him. And
I love that conversation with Vivian where she says, at the bar, and she says, I thought this, I made a note of this, that she's got a part in the next season of Severance. I thought it was kind of interesting.
Yeah, that's pretty cool because it's kind of updated Apple TV Plus. Everybody,
exactly. Yeah.
But even though this is Disney Plus, but it's kind of a nod.
And she's not actually. I checked. She's not actually. Yeah, at least she's not projected. But anyway, but yeah, I thought it was great when she's like, I know your secret, and he was like, what? You don't know my? And she's like, I lived with you for however many length of time.
And she
of course,
basically tells him, and she knew something was up.
Yeah, but she's, I kept your secret. And I love when he finds out that Kathy, at that point, he also finds out that Kathy's already talked to his mom and his brother at that point. Or
he was worried about his brother.
And his brother just, Kathy says, oh no, he said wonderful things about you. And he finds out that the people in his life are really supporting him. Maybe
in his venture with this acting ability.
It's kind of a backwards kind of thing where, like, to his face, his brother is mocking him and putting him down, but to other people, his brother is lifting him up, which I thought was really cool. So
yeah, I thought that was amazing. It just like, it shows you, it's like, oh wow, because his own fears started coming out. You could see the look on his face, and that's really true to the actor himself. with Yahya Abdul Mateen II, and that's what I really appreciate him.
You're very impressed that you know how to say this guy's name. I'm not even going to try to say it. So I'm impressed that you're able to say it. It just rolls off your tongue so easily.
Steal the show in this particular film.
Yeah, they're
that
great.
And
they
Joey
really
Pants. By the way,
that's the next episode though. That's not in 7. I love that we finally get, as we get this interview and we find out that Kathy, she really doesn't want to talk to Trevor about his acting. She wants to know about the Mandarin. And that's what kind of sets off Trevor, and he storms off. And then I love, because we don't see exactly what Simon does, but we know he must have done something to defend Trevor, I'm assuming, in that spot, because he doesn't finish the interview. Apparently, he doesn't finish the interview with Kathy, because he shows up at Trevor's trailer just a few minutes later, and then we see Kathy. When the blow up happens, Kathy's walking outside of the episode, outside of the studio.
Well, it was after, sees the aftermath of when Simon hears the truth from Trevor. And then he just walks into the back lot and goes into the filming warehouse where they actually film. Yeah. And his powers go a little awry at that point, and it explodes, just like very similar to what happened to the apartment, but a little bit 10 times more.
Way bigger. Yeah, we get that moment, the moment that we've been talking about all season, where Trevor has to come clean to Simon, where Simon figures it out, and he's like, you've been giving information to to the government on me this whole time. And Trevor's like trying to calm him down and trying to say, well, I didn't give them much, I didn't tell them a lot. He's really trying to calm Simon down. But what impressed me the most the second time I watched it, and I didn't pick up on it the first time, was you notice one of the things that I think it shows. It shows the feeling that Simon has towards Trevor, because he doesn't take out his rage on Trevor.
No, he doesn't, not at all.
He leaves the trailer, and like you said, he goes to another part of the studio, out to the back lot, because he knows he's going to blow up. He knows he recognizes what's happening. He knows there's going to be this big explosion, because he can tell that this is now bigger than anything else he's ever had happen to him in his life, is what I'm assuming. I'm going to say, or maybe it's close to it, but he's never felt this kind of rage. But I just love the fact, and like I said, I didn't pick up on it the first time. It wasn't really until the second time, and really till talking about it right now, that I really picked up on the fact that he didn't direct it at Simon. No, he got away from it, and he took it away, and that shows the respect, and I think the caring that he has for Simon, because he could have directed this at Simon, and that would have made him a bad guy. Make Simon a bad guy. And so I love that we see the good guy of Simon going, I'm going to take this somewhere else and direct it outwards to another outlet. So I thought that was really great. And but I like I said, we've been talking about the whole season. We knew it was going to come. We knew there was going to be a moment when Trevor was going to have to come clean, and Simon was going to find out the truth. But that leads us into episode 8.
But before we get into that, they had a cool needle drop at the very ending, the song at the very end, as Simon goes walking into the warehouse, and you see Kathy Friedman looking back as the explosion happens. And When Will I Be Loved by Linda Ronstadt is playing throughout the end credits in that scene. And it just leads you into credits. But it also takes off literally right where we left off with episode 7 into episode 8.
Yeah, the only other thing I have for episode 7 is the one quote that I haven't talked about yet, which is, we've already talked about the interview, or when they're talking about Kathy Friedman, and I just love this exchange when he's reading the thing about Glenn Howerton, and he says, Trev, what if I stab my arugula salad listlessly? I can't say that word. Listlessly. And Trevor says, never. You're very aggressive with your fork. I love the way these two play off from each other, and the way these two actors have played these roles. That's why I really hope we get to see them in something. I love how they play off
one another. It just works out perfectly.
Yeah, even if we don't get another season of Wonder Man, I hope we get to see these two guys in something
together.
Some sort of side quest. in one of the movies,
The
maybe,
films.
or yeah, one of the films. So yeah, absolutely. That's all I had for episode 7.
All right, same here. With 8, we go into, and this is what, Yucca Valley?
Yeah, this is the name of this was Yucca Valley. And again, I really love this episode. I love that we get the continuation of the flashback with his father. And something occurred to me the first time I watched it, and the second time I watched it, I put it in my notes. Is he driving the same car? I
That
think
his
he's
father
driving
did?
this. That is, he's either driving the same car or he's driving a very similar car.
Yeah.
It seems like that would be really a long time for that car to still be, especially
Around.
it's not exactly a classic. It looked like some sort of Datsun or something like that. But it really looked like he's in a very similar car to what, if it's not the same car, it's a very similar car to what his dad drove, which I thought was really, really cool. But yeah, I just love that moment we get where they're sharing a hamburger and they're talking about the movie, and he says, oh yeah, Britt Willard was in everything in those days in the 80s. And just again, it's another, just a wonderful little snippets we've gotten of his past life. And that moment when we see that his father was very supportive of him, his father going, I'm going to see you up there on that big screen someday.
Yeah.
And that plays to what the mom says at the end. Well, the mom and the brother say at the end of the episode, when the mom says, "Oh, I wish your father could have seen
here.
this," and then his brother says, "I'm proud of you," and Dad would have been proud of you. It's just a great moment we have there.
Yeah.
That I loved. That and again, with it being the continuation of from the very first episode to now the very last episode.
Yeah, where
great.
in the very beginning we saw him at its worst part, and then at the very end, reassurance from his own family and a buildup of his own character and well-being, especially with what he has to do, because we find out and we see it through TV news broadcasts, things that are happening with the head of Department of Damage Control, that one guy, and you think they're going to go after Simon because there's these phone calls and everything else.
I love the fake out.
I love the redirect,
Yeah. The fake out was great. I didn't catch it on the first watch. I started to get a little suspicious, of course, as soon as Trevor calls him and starts saying, "I've done something that's going to make everything right." As soon as Trevor said that, I was like, "Oh, I bet he did something where he copped to it or something like that." And then of course that's what we find out, is that he made this tape of as the Mandalorian as the Mandarin. But it was great, and we get the redemption that we wanted from Trevor, seeing him. But I do have a couple of questions about this, and I'm willing to, I have another point towards the end that I'm going to put my suspenders of disbelief on.
Okay.
But there's a little bit of an issue I have here that I have to kind of put on the disbelief here. Where did Simon get explosives? Because if you're listening in the background, the newscaster, when the police are arresting him, in the background you can hear, or when Simon's
you talk about Trevor, right?
No, yeah, when the guy comes to Simon's house to pick him up for the movie. Okay, you can hear the TV in the background, and in the background you can hear the newscaster say that they found explosives in his, and it stops at who, but obviously they're going to say home. They found some sort of explosives in Trevor's home in order to link him to the explosion in Hollywood. Because the first thing I thought when I saw that he was gonna confess to the explosion was, well, how can he prove that he did it?
Exactly. That's a good question.
Apparently, so I don't know. That's one of those things we're just going to have to yada away and say, well, maybe Damage Control planted some explosives in there so that they could further the evidence. I'm not sure.
Yeah, we don't even know, because even the head of Department of Damage Control knew what Trevor was doing, trying to call him out on it at that time when they were arresting him.
Well, the agent, not the head of the department. That was the agent, the guy that we've seen from Spider-Man and everything. That was the same guy.
Yeah, exactly.
What's his name?
Yeah,
Not the head of the department. That's the redheaded guy. But yeah, he was trying to get Trevor to say that Simon did it, and Trevor wouldn't do it. He kept going to. Yeah, so that's my only. I had a little bit of a hiccup both times watching it. Then I went, well, wait a minute. Where did he get? How did he get proof that he actually did it? But okay, we can move past that.
Suspend that disbelief at that point and figure it out. Or maybe he kind of worked it out when it got released to the public that the agent at the Department of Damage Control said, okay, yeah, we did find something, and they played it off like,
all right, maybe he just said it, and and the newscasters picked up on it. I'm not sure. Whatever the case, they definitely took Trevor as being the culprit of the explosion until the end of the episode. When we find out they do know that the energy coming off was the same energy that Simon had, and we'll get to that in a bit. But
I also love the fact that we're back on set, and Simon goes back to work.
Did they resume filming a little too quick? Was that a little too fast?
They did.
I mean,
really fast.
Come on.
That was.
I know they said Von Kovac doesn't want to miss a day of filming, but I'm just like, the studio just blew up, and you're going to resume filming right away. But I do like the fact that they had him. He gives him that crazy stage direction. I've got the quote down later when we do quotes, but I love that they did show him when they resumed filming that he was talking to, he had to do his part to the green
tennis ball,
the green tennis ball, because at that point they hadn't casted Joe Pantoliano yet. So that means they had to put Joe in the movie later and edit that in. So I thought that was an interesting little tidbit.
I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah. But I thought they resumed filming a little quick there, but okay. And I see that whatever they did to get Joe Pantoliano in there, maybe it took a little time, because obviously there's a time jump between when the movie is being shot and when it actually finishes. Because we know with special effects and everything, it takes, months,
almost a year.
For these movies to come out. So,
and which is pretty cool too, for the fact that they actually do get to that. That during that same time that we get the reveal, like I mentioned earlier, everybody, he takes the robe off and he's got the original costume on, and it's not the flashy costume that you had in the very beginning, which was very bright. This was a little bit kind of
understated.
Down.
It was understated. It was a little understated. It was definitely updated for the 21st century. That they made it look slicker, but they have he had the actual sunglasses from the original movie, which I thought again was another little touch, because I handing
it to him and saying, he goes, no, these are the actual sunglasses. And he was like, what? And he winds up keeping them even at the very end of the episode, as we do see him later on. He's still got those glasses, and I'm glad. They should really market those for Marvel.
I would be surprised if they don't. Yeah, they haven't yet. But yeah, that was really cool, because knowing we know a little bit about, not a lot, but they do. Well, now they do, but back then they didn't do prop giveaways and auctions and things like that. So the sunglasses would have just gone into some prop house somewhere,
or a private collector. Yeah.
Well, maybe, or if somebody stole them off set, but more than likely they ended up in some prop house just sitting there gathering dust until this PA went looking for them. And so I thought that was a little touch of Hollywood magic that we got to see there from the 80s to now. It's kind of like one of those things when you read, I had never known this until recently, that the gun that Bruce Willis used in the movie Die Hard is the same prop that Mel Gibson used in Lethal Weapon.
So, yeah.
The same Beretta prop that they were using. I thought was kind of cool. But yeah, so just to know that those props from the 80s and the 90s did get put into a warehouse somewhere and didn't necessarily get sold. Like you said, they didn't get sold to collectors. They didn't get auctioned off. They just got put into some warehouse somewhere and just sat there gathering dust until somebody dug them up. So I thought that was kind of cool.
We do get a flash forward at a certain point with Simon, and he's at a bar with this guy, and we don't know who he is after a certain while. It's kind of like a buildup of story until we get to that.
Well, I don't
bottom
think
line.
I don't think it's a flash forward. I think it's just a time jump. I think you just do a time jump.
Okay.
to later on, because we see him, at the end of the movie, we see him walking out, and they're they're giving him all his props, and his brother, we talked about that. The brother says how proud he is, and the dad would have been proud. And then, like I said, then I think we have a time jump is what we have
It
there,
is definitely
to where
a
he's
time
in the
jump.
bar with Chuck Eastman, and
Chuck
he says
Eastman,
he's
played by
researching.
Blake Robbins, everybody. And yeah, we do find out later on, but he just wants to shadow Chuck in his life. And he goes, why do you want to come here on Thursday nights and do karaoke with me, go to my doctor's exams? And he goes, well, and then he winds up having dinner with his family.
Yeah,
And
yeah. I
and,
love
and then
because
the
again,
daughter's like, do you know Dua Lipa? He's like, no.
yeah, no. Again, this is one of those things that we don't need. We don't need to see the in between. Again, I can yada yada away the research
Yeah.
he obviously had to do to find out where the black site was that Trevor was being held. Find out he probably had to have somebody, or he did, had to find the guard that worked there, that had health problems, that had a daughter that had health problems, that's going to need help with medical bills and all that. I can yada yada that away, because I wanted him to get to the point where
The reason why he was there, so he could get to Trevor.
Yeah, and he's telling Chuck that, oh, I can't tell you who the director is. I can't tell you anything about the movie. I can't tell you anything about the part. And Chuck is just eating it up because he loves the fact that he's getting this attention from this big star, but they can't tell anybody about it. Like the kid at the dinner table you're talking about, like the boy at the dinner table. Well, can I tell my friends that I had dinner with Simon Williams? And he says, you cannot. So he's really making sure. Which that brings me to another point that I had to kind of put on my spinners a little bit of. It wouldn't take much for the Department of Damage Control to investigate this and find all this stuff out. But again, I'm gonna let that all go because I'm enjoying myself way too much with this. But before we move on too far to the end, I love the little conversation that he has with Von Kovac about sequels. That Von Kovac starts by saying, "Oh, I don't do sequels," and Simon says, "Oh, no, we shouldn't." And Von Kovac, we could never do anything better than what we just did. And Simon's totally agreeing with him until Von Kovac goes, "Unless we thought about a better way to do it." And then Simon goes, "Yes, we should talk about that." So
he knows how to play the Hollywood talk.
Exactly. I just love that. I love, So I just love that we get all that little conversation there. We talked about the sunglasses. Okay. Yeah. So I think we're to the end part.
Yeah.
So they get to the black side.
They get to the black side. Obviously, it's so funny because I guess Trevor is not such a powerful person that he gets stuck at the raft. He's somewhere in California still in a prison.
Isn't that interesting? That's what I was kind of thinking about, was the fact that we were talking, earlier in the season. I hadn't even thought of it until you brought it up. Earlier in the season, the guy was talking about wanting to populate the raft with more supervillains. Maybe he's in Yucca Valley because they know he's not actually superpowered, so they don't need to put him in the raft, right? They don't need a superpowered cage for Trevor Slattery. And so that's kind of why he's there. And that's why it becomes so easy for Simon to then break him out. And also, again, we have this time jump that we don't know. And maybe they'll tell us this, maybe they won't. But obviously, Simon has, at this point, he's kind of honed his powers, right?
Yes.
Because he's blanking out the cameras with his power. He's making this tunnel through the roof that he and Trevor can fly out of.
He knows how to harness his, and they stated it's ionic energies. That comes out of him, and they already know from the Department of Damage Control of what his power is. So they already know something within his power set. So I think that's pretty cool. So it's kind of it's like, all right, it's kind of a pass of like, okay, we never saw him build up his learning how to use his powers or where he got his powers from, or you just it's a form of acceptance.
Yeah,
and then we'll go from there.
I'm willing to just accept it. Now, maybe some people aren't. I the first time I watched it, I didn't really think about a lot of these things. I'll be honest, I didn't think about a lot of these questions because I was just having so much fun with the end of that. It was the fact that he, like I said, as much as it wouldn't take much for Damage Control to go, oh, let's check the bank accounts of all these guards and find one guard. Oh, hey, this guy got a big money settlement the same day that Trevor was. Let's go talk to this guy. And then it wouldn't take long to figure out, oh, your daughter had medical bills. You had all these medical bills. And where did the money come from? And eventually the guy's going to break down and go, well, Simon Williams paid me to whatever.
Yeah.
Eventually somebody's going to figure it out. Somebody, the doctor. Anyway, but again, those are all things that I didn't, a lot of them I didn't think about until I was stewing over it. The initial watch, I was just having fun with it. And so I really wish people would just have fun with this one. Cause I just love these characters so much. And
it was
I'm
a
excited,
fun show
so.
and you allowed yourself to omit all that stuff that we nitpick about. And I really liked it because I think it's a true testament to what Sir Ben Kingsley did and Yahya Abdul Mateen II and how they're able to portray that. Same thing with Josh Gad's presence in it as playing a weird version of himself and Joe Pantoliano. I got his name all wrong. It's Joey Pants. And then and you have other people there too. Arian Moaid, who plays Agent Cleary, who is in Department of Damage Control. I think this is probably his third or fourth appearance in a Marvel movie or show.
Well, I mean, it was Spider-Man. Yeah, Spider-Man, the Marvels, or the Spider-Man, Miss Marvels, and now this. So three times. So he's again. That's why I hope we get to see these characters again, Wonder Man and Trevor Slattery. I really do hope we get to see them again. I had a lot of fun with this, and even if we don't get a second season, at least plug them into the MCU somewhere. They gotta come back. They gotta come back. Yeah, we gotta know what happened to Doorman. We gotta know what happened to Josh Gad eventually. Like they'll pick it up in some cameo spot in another movie, or they'll have a newscast running in the background that says Josh Gad found when Doorman dies, or I don't know. I don't know. Out of the doorman at a bar. Yeah, at some point. Yeah, I just think it'd be hilarious to get some sort of background stuff with these characters. But that's all I really got. I have one quote that I wanted to read, and it was because I just thought it was so hilarious when he's after he finds out about Trevor's betrayal. And the explosion, and Von Kovac calls him back to continue shooting the movie. Von Kovac tells him, he wants him to use the betrayal that he's felt, because that's the whole thing of the scene they were doing in Wonder Man, right? Was that Barnaby, what's his name? The character Barnaby, is it Barnaby? Barnaby. Barnaby was going to betray him to this whatever guy, this alien guy, and so he says, use that betrayal, and then he says, and you had a dream last night that your mother was cooking a hedgehog for supper. Simon goes, cooking a hedgehog? Yes, I think so. I'd like to see what that inspires. This guy, and this is another character that I'd love to see pop up, just pop up randomly somewhere in another Marvel, project somewhere. Just randomly pop up this crazy European director who's got this high artist.
Zlato Buric is the actor, and it's so funny how he does this. I think he is European by some extent. I think that's part of his personal accent, but the way he expresses it as that character, it's hilarious. Same thing when he says to him, "Let your misery drive the bus." To Simon as a way of motivation for acting without Trevor.
I love it. Again, we may never see the character again, but gosh, it would be so funny if he did just pop up somewhere in the background somewhere, if they have a Hollywood scene somewhere. So, but that's all I had for.
Same here. I just love for the fact that it's like, okay, they leave us on a cliffhanger of them getting out of the prison. That's it. That's what we get.
Yeah.
But we got some cool needle drops throughout the episode. In the beginning, after the flashback, we get California by Phantom Planet playing from that particular flashback, and Simon driving back home after his anger moment previously in the last episode with the shaking and the destruction of that building that Kathy Friedman had seen. And then after the premiere of Wonder Man, it cuts to a daylight scene, and Mamas Don't Let Your Babies Grow Up to Be Cowboys by the Highwaymen is playing.
Yeah.
going into the daylight point. And then when Simon breaks Trevor out of prison, everybody's talking from Midnight Cowboy by Harry Nilsson plays
Oh,
from
there's the
the very
callback
end
to
into the end
episode
credits.
1. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
great. I didn't know. Like I said, I still haven't seen Midnight Cowboy. I need to watch it. But yeah, so that's where that song comes from. Okay, cool.
Yeah. So yeah, that's about it. Uh yeah, we went through all our quotes, all our notes. I know I've covered mine. There's not really much comic book news out there. I don't really want to go into that, everybody, but we'll let you guys know exactly where, after we finalize this, we're going to take a little bit of a break, but at the end of the month, what do we have, Steve?
We got Daredevil Born Again season 2 is coming back. We talked about it a few weeks ago. They dropped a trailer, kind of a teaser trailer. We've got gosh, if you don't want to get spoiled about, if you haven't already paid attention to what's going on with Daredevil Born Again season 2, you don't want to get spoiled about it, fast forward about a minute or so. But gosh, so I'll give you a count: 3, 2, 1. Kristen Ritter's back. I know as Jennifer Jones is back. We loved her. Jessica Jones. Sorry. Oh, that's terrible. That's terrible. Yeah, we loved her in Jessica Jones, and she's a great actress. Can't wait to see what they have for her in Daredevil Born Again season 2.
One of the only shows on Netflix that we got from the Marvel Netflix shows that we're able to complete. If you think about it.
Yeah, I think the moratorium, that's why they did Daredevil Born Again, because there's a certain amount of time they have to wait before the copyright runs out or something.
It was 7 years that they had to wait until we got them from Marvel. Yeah.
So some of those other shows we may still be waiting on them, but like I said, we got Kristen Ritter. We know John Bernthal is going to at least be in Luke because he was in season 1. So we'll see.
And he'll be in spoilers, everybody. 3, 2, 1. Spider-Man: Brand New Day as well.
So, looking forward to that movie coming out. We got
a lot of stuff to look forward to. That obviously with Secret Wars later on, and Doomsday, Avengers Doomsday. And there's a lot of stuff. Don't let yourself get spoiled or leaked with all that stuff on YouTube. You could speculate until you're blue in the face. And trust me, I just laugh and I watch some people talk about it. And I'm like, no, I don't care. At this point, I just laugh at them. But we're looking forward to covering Daredevil Born Again. Starts March 24th. Obviously, we'll probably do it within and around that time. We'll let you guys know. We'll do a post. And then that way you guys could jump in on a board. Shortly after that, we'll probably space it out a little bit. We're going to get The Boys season 5. So it's coming out April 8th. So we might take a moment and take a break, depending on how the episodes are released for Born Again, Daredevil Born Again, and then go into The Boys, or maybe even delay it a little bit. Just so that way you have enough time to watch, catch up, and then obviously, we're not jumping out there last minute like, oh, we got to be right on top of this. It's great to be on top of stuff at times, but you know what? I'm not getting any screeners.
Our listeners know it. Our listeners know Panels to Pixels. You'll get it when it drops in your feed.
Yeah, and have fun listening to us. It's about it.
Yeah, when it shows up in your feed, guess what? There it is.
But I love the fact that you guys are still listening and just paying attention to us. There's going to be more that you have. I'm involved with a lot of other stuff that's going on the network too, by the way. So obviously, and then cross feeding some on platforms. But we're right now at the point of podcast recommendations. So Steve, what do you have?
So I've talked about it before, but Talkville, that's the Smallville rewatch podcast with Tom Welling and Michael Rosenbaum. They have come back. They have started season 8, which if you know much about Smallville, Michael Rosenbaum exited at the end of season 7 and doesn't come back until the finale episode in season 10. So it's interesting. We're going to get interesting to hear Michael Rosenbaum's take of these episodes, that not only has he never watched them, but he's never even acted in them. So
Yeah.
it's going to be interesting to hear his take on these episodes. I just listened to the one from a week or so ago. They did an interview with Cassidy Freeman for the season 1 episode 8 opener, season 8 episode 1 opener, Odyssey. They did an interview with Cassidy Freeman. It was just a wonderful podcast. She just has glowing things to say about both Tom Welling and Michael Rosenbaum. She and Tom Welling just finished a movie together. So
Awesome. That's cool. They're obviously doing conventions too, everybody. So you could see both of them together at certain points. So check that out when you can, or get to those conventions and meet them, because they're nice people from what I'm told, just to talk to and hang out with, or just watch them on the panels. My recommendation would be on YouTube. You could look at the Sackhoff YouTube site, Katie Sackhoff's YouTube, and she does watches, and I think she's on either the 3rd or 4th episode of Battlestar Galactica, when she's doing a first watch with her husband, who's 10 years younger than her. So they watch it and it's full expressions, and I just love for the fact it's like, he goes, look how young, and she's even saying, look how young they were. And it's like and she's like reminiscing on certain things that happen on set. But this is also her first watch. She never watched it. Tricia Helfer did the same thing with Mark Bernardin. And when they did the Battlestar Galactica cast, I highly recommend people to watch that original series too. It still holds up. The effects are not 100% pristine, but then again, it was a sci-fi show on sci-fi TV. But I highly recommend you check out Katie Sackhoff's YouTube, or even Battlestar Galacticast with Tricia Helfer and Mark Bernard. They're still out there. You could actually get it on smodcastle.com, and they're still available for like streaming and stuff. So check that out. If you've never watched Battlestar Galactica, I can highly recommend it even more.
It was really good.
There was also talk about, because you like what was it? Jared Padalecki and
Supernatural?
Supernatural. There's like a comic book out or something right now.
Yeah, they're doing something. I don't know. Those guys are all over, but I mean, Jensen Ackles is going to be in The Boys. Jared Padalecki, they're all in The Boys season 5.
Yeah, both of them.
Those guys are all over conventions as well and doing stuff all the time, and they're always asking them about a reboot or a restart or whatever of Supernatural, and they're always open to it. But who knows with schedules and things, what'll happen there. But yeah, Supernatural. It's a 15 season show, so that's quite a task. So
it is. By the way, highly recommend that. I watched it a while ago. I had to stop after a while because there's so many seasons.
Yeah, I rewatch it usually about once a year. Once a year, I'll binge through it real quick and rewatch it again. I have all the physical media for them, so I get the original music and soundtrack and stuff, which is really great because they've got some really great songs. So, all right,
we're at that point of the podcast. Says, where can listeners hear us, Steve?
Well, you can hear me right here on Panels to Pixels, of course, and I do send voicemails to various other podcasts that our friends do, particularly on the Podcastica network. I try to hit up the ones on here on Pirate Core as well when I have the time. But it's been life. Life happens.
Life happens.
Well, where can people hear you, Mark?
I could be heard here as always on Panels to Pixels podcast. I just started the Kaiju cast with my friend Dimitri, and we're covering Monarch Season 2. Now, it will be a collaborative podcast with Podcastica. If Ben Beck, our friend Ben, wants to do it on Wilhelm, I'm gladly enough to say, hey, put it on yours as well. But you could definitely hear it on Podcastica and on the Parkour Entertainment Network as well. I can be heard also on Adrenaline Cinema podcast, and go figure, everybody, we're a little late to the party at this point because it's already 2026 and we're in March. Frank, Adam, and Rob and myself decided to do a year in review of 2025. Go figure. But have fun and listen to us when it comes out. You should have that out shortly after this comes out, as well as the Kaiju podcast. Keep in mind that when we do cover Monarch like comes out on Fridays. So by the time you get Kaiju Cast, it's going to be Wednesday, March 4th. And, you know, same thing with the Adrenaline Cinema with the year in review. Probably get it a couple of days after that. And then we'll post stuff and then follow that. That is where we're going to move on. So, you know, obviously we already mentioned that ends our coverage of Wonder Man Season 1. So sad. But here we go.
Please check out all the other podcasts that you can find on piratecoreentertainment.com. There are links there for Panels to Pixels podcast and all the other ones, as well as the What's On Tonight podcast, the dinner with her, there's so many podcasts on this network that I can't even keep up with them. But just go to piratecoreentertainment.com, check out the links there. You can see, and Mark has been hard at work on that website, and I'm sure there's more updates that will be constantly coming out to that website. But check it out, piratecoreentertainment.com.
Awesome. Yeah, literally all you have to do is go there. For us here, we can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, whatever podcast player choice. Obviously, ratings or reviews are always there. Please give us 5 stars if you really like what we do. Leave some sort of comments. It gets to us faster. Just go to piratecoreentertainment.com like Steve had stated. You can email us panelstopixels1@gmail.com. We can be found on YouTube. And obviously with that one, with YouTube, whatever's on here is on there. But if we do video, guess what? You're going to see it. Give us a thumbs up and ring the bell to be notified when something new is there. So that's about it. Just go to piratecoreentertainment.com.
We have a Facebook group. We have a Facebook group also. If you want to comment or leave us a message there, it's facebook.com/panelstopixels.
Yep. And well, that's about it for this particular podcast. I just want to thank everyone for listening. I'm Mark.
And I'm Steve.
Same podcast, different panel, different pixel. And this was Panels to Pixels podcast. We'll see you guys on the next panel. And we'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Talk to you later.